Hello, today I am teaching to you the subject of Science class 7 Science subject, chapter 3, Fiber to Fabric. In this chapter already I discussed about the how silk fiber is obtained from a silk moth with the help of describing the life history of silkworm. First of all, a female or many number of female silk moth, they lay egg, and this lay egg after hatching converted into larva or caterpillar. Caterpillar, or it may be also called silkworm, and when this silkworm convert into the pupa, a network of silk fiber is formed inside. The silkworm is encased, and this network is called cocoon. And from this cocoon we obtain the required silk fiber, and finally an adult silk moth is also produced. This is the life history of a silk moth, and during the life history of the silk moth, silk fiber is obtained when it goes from the larva stage to their pupa stage. In continuing this chapter, if you want to produce in large quantity the silk, what are the steps should we follow? So our next topic is, or we can say today's topic is production of silk. Means how can we raise our production to get or to fulfill the requirement of the industry. All of you know that mostly we obtain the silk from the mulberry tree silk moth, and silk moth which grown itself on the mulberry tree. That's why we call it mulberry tree silk moth. So mulberry means sahtut tree. We call it in Hindi sahtut. So we also call it mulberry tree silk, and it is a common variety of fiber mostly we obtain in India from the mulberry tree. So let us describe how we obtain the common variety of the silk in large quantity, and what are the steps should we follow for this production. First of all, we have to perform some steps in a manner like, first of all, we have to do rearing of silkworm to obtain cocoon, because cocoon contains silk fiber. This cocoon contains silk fiber. So how can we rear the silkworms in large quantity? Rear means to provide shelter, healthy environment, and their feeding is called rearing. So how can we rear the silkworms in large quantity to obtain the required quantity of cocoons? Then after obtaining the cocoon, how can we process it? Means processing of cocoons to obtain silk fiber. To obtain the silk fiber, how can you process the given cocoon from the rearing of the silkworm? And the last step we have to follow, how can we convert, means converting silk fiber into silk cloth. Converting the silk fiber into silk cloth, and hence after performing these three steps we got silk cloth or fabric from its silk fiber. Let us discuss one by one step in detail. First of all, rearing of silkworms to obtain cocoons. A female silk moth Let us I am trying to draw the figure of a female silk moth. Suppose that it is an adult female silk moth. A female silk moth, it lays 100 of eggs at a time. These are the eggs of a female silk moth. A female silk moth can lay 100 of eggs at a time, and these eggs are stored on a paper strip or it may be collected on a cloth strips. These eggs are collected on paper strips. We can collect it on a paper strip or cloth strips. These hundreds of eggs which are laid by a female silk moth. And after collecting these eggs, these are sold to the silkworm farmers. These eggs are sold to the silkworm farmers, and the farmers keep these laid at suitable temperature and humidity under hygienic condition. The egg which are obtained from the female silk moth, they are sold to the silk farmers. These silk farmers stored the eggs at suitable temperature and humidity which are favorable for its hatching under hygienic condition, and these eggs are then warmed to a suitable temperature for the hatching. Why the farmer provides suitable temperature and humidity? Because these eggs go for the next stage, hatching. When the eggs are hatched, larva or silkworm comes out of the eggs. And then silk farmer they gave the mulberry leaves to the larva plural word, larvae, or we can also say silkworm. This silkworm are fed mulberry leaves and they grow day and night bigger in size after eating the mulberry leaves. After 25 to 30 days, the silkworm stops eating and get ready to spin cocoons. Means after 20 to 30 days, after eating the mulberry leaves of 20 to 30 days, the silkworm stops eating and get ready to spin cocoons. Means it is ready for the spinning of cocoons. And how these cocoons they form? The silkworm contains in its heads liquid form silk, and it also has two glands, and it moves like a figure of drawing 8 and forms cocoons, and it is encased inside the cocoon. After passage of time, the liquid silk dry up and forms cocoon. The silkworms completely enclosed inside the cocoons in 2 or 3 days. Means when the silkworm start to form the cocoon, after 2 to 3 days it completely form cocoons and encased inside the cocoon. In this way, rearing of silkworm is performed. And another step, that is processing of cocoons, which we obtained from the first step, silk fibers. All the cocoons are collected at one place. Suppose that these are cocoons. All the cocoons are collected at one place, and the pile of cocoons means the collection of cocoons is placed in a hot water. They are placed in a hot water to make the silk fibers of cocoon to separate out. Why these cocoons put into the hot water? Because they are separated from the cocoons easily. The long silk fibers are obtained by unwinding the threads from cocoon, and this is a process that is called reeling. Hence, the process of taking out silk fibers from the cocoon is called reeling. Reeling means the process of taking out silk fibers from the cocoons is called reeling. Means how the silk fiber is obtained from the cocoon is called reeling. Reeling is done by the special machines which are used for unwinding the silk fiber from the cocoons. And in last stage, after obtaining the silk fiber, these are converted into silk cloth. So converting silk fibers into silk cloth or fabric. Cloth means fabric. Silk fibers which are obtained from the cocoons are twisted to form the silk yarn, because already in the beginning of this chapter we first of all we get fiber, then after it we get yarn, and finally then we get fabric. And yarn is obtained by the spinning process, and then from yarn we obtain fabric either with two processes, weaving and knitting. In weaving, threads or yarns are crossed over to each other at right angle, and in knitting process, interlocking of yarns is to be done. This is the brief introduction of overall this chapter. So what we obtain in the second step, that is silk fibers, and finally we want to get silk cloth. So the silk fiber which we obtained in the second step, we have to perform a spinning process to get silk yarn, and this silk yarn is woven on looms into silk cloth. This silk yarn converted into silk cloth or fabric by performing the weaving process, and after all we get the silk cloth from the silk fiber in this way. There are variety of silks we can produce by the different types of silk moths. This is the mulberry silk, and it is most common silk produced in our country. Some other variety of silk are Tasar silk, Kosa silk, Iris silk, etc. These are the other variety of silk which are obtained from different varieties of silkworms or silk moth. And the most common silk is mulberry silk. Mulberry silk is soft in nature, lustrous means shining in nature, and it is also elastic in nature, and it can be dyed in beautiful colors. It also can be dyed in what color we want. This silk are obtained from the protein. These are obtained from the protein and this is a natural silk because it is obtained from the cocoons of silkworm, and it is an animal fiber. Artificial silk is called a rayon. It is also obtained from the raw material of rayon is obtained from the natural plant part like cellulose, but in industry the cellulose is processed through the chemical combinations of some substances. That's why it is called artificial silk. So how can we distinguish between a natural silk and an artificial silk? It can also be done by performing a burning test. Which test we follow? We can distinguish between an artificial silk and a natural silk by performing the burning test. When we burnt the artificial silk, it produces a smell of burning hair. A smell of burning hair. And if you burn an artificial silk, it produces a smell of burning paper. In this way, we may differentiate between an artificial silk and an natural silk. If we burn a natural silk like silk cloth, silk fabric, which are obtained from the mulberry tree or silkworm, it produces a smell of burning hair. And our artificial silk, that is rayon, if you burn the rayon, it produces a smell of burning paper. Okay, thank you.